Alright, what's going on everybody? System Psycho here, back with another video, and today's video is going to be a retro review. So what is a retro review? A retro review is where I go back and play old school video games and review them. I know it's been tons of reviews, so whatnot, but I want to do this and give y'all my feedback on certain games that I played. So this is going to be the first of a new series, and the first game that I'm going to review is Shenmue for the Sega Dreamcast. Now the reason why I'm reviewing the Sega Dreamcast is because I actually finished playing this game not too long ago. I say about a month ago, and the reason why I decided to play this game is because of the whole Kickstarter thing. Now for all of you that don't know, the creator of Shenmue basically started a Kickstarter for Shenmue 3. It actually got funded, and so, you know, I actually backed a copy, a physical copy, and hopefully I will be getting that, you know, maybe sometime in the next year or so. Now, I've had this game since I was like 15. Alright, so I've had this game for like 15 years, and when I first got it, I rarely played it. I never played it. I played like about 10 minutes of it. I saw how it was. I was like, oh gosh, this game is so lame, so boring. But my 15-year-old mind couldn't take it. I wasn't really into kind of like open world or RPG type of element type of thing, and this whole big story stuff. You know, I'm still kind of stuck in like action platformers, fighting games. So when I was 15, I played 10 minutes of it and I couldn't take it. Now, being older, I went back and I was like, you know what? Since I backed the third Shenmue, I was like, it makes sense if I go back and play the first two games. Now I haven't played the second one yet, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and play the first one and see how it goes. So before I get into what I experienced with the game and whatnot, and what I think is good and bad, let me tell you the story of this game. So basically what this story is about a young guy named Ryu. And you know, he comes home and finds that his father got murdered by this one guy. He has no idea who he is. One guy escapes, and Ryu's just like, he wants revenge basically. That's what he wants to do. So what he does is he wants to go and find clues and find who his father's murderer is. And so what the game entails is just you going around town, talking to people, finding clues, trying to get as close as you can to the killer. So what the game brings to the table and what was fresh about it was the fact that it was open world now. You know, basically Ryu could do anything. You know, he wakes up, you have money, you know, you can talk to people, you can buy little trinkets, you can go to an arcade, casino and whatnot. So there's a lot of stuff to do in the game, and back in 2000, that was big. It was a new thing, you know what I mean? And so they marketed this game heavy, like crazy heavy. So when I played it, you know, I already knew what I was kind of getting myself into, and this is kind of like the first game that I really beat it. That was kind of like this genre, and I actually beat the game. So first of all, what I liked about the game was honestly the story. That's what kept me wanting to play, was how this story developed and how everything came about and how he was able to talk to certain people. So I was like, man, I wanna beat this joint. And I'll be honest with you, in the beginning it was kind of a drag. I'm like, man, I gotta talk to these same old ass people. I gotta figure out where the fuck I gotta go, blah blah blah. But for some reason I just kept coming back to it, and it got kind of cool because, as I mentioned earlier, if there was downtime, I'd go to an arcade and I'd play, you know, Space Harrier or Hang On or darts or whatever. So what's also pretty cool about the game was not only is it open world, kind of RPG elements, and you got to play arcade games, but you know, you got to go to the casino. There's also fighting elements where it's kind of like Virtua Fighter, where it's pretty, you know, it's not like 3-button fighting. You can actually practice moves, so you'd have to fight people in certain ways. Another thing in the game is, I believe they call it real-time button hitting, where a button would display on the screen and you'd have to hit that button very fast or at a certain time for it to execute a move and for you to continue on. So they had a lot of that. So they had that, you know, you could ride motorcycles. Another thing a lot of people don't like about this game, which I didn't mind too much, was the fact that you actually had a job. and you had to move crates around, which, you know, I mean, that was just part of the game, and they kind of used that as how the story developed. You also got to race in that little like cart moving thing, and so I mean, all in all, I mean, the game was actually pretty cool, and I'm actually surprised that I actually stuck with it and I beat it. Now, the things that I kind of didn't like was it kind of does kind of get repetitive and kind of boring when you got to go around and talk to people. But after a while, you kind of figure out who you got to talk to, where you got to go, you know, and then you start planning your day out, you know, and then you like, okay, well, you got to be back at a certain time to go to bed. Then when you wake up, you already have clues. You know, you have a notebook that shows what you got to do next, so you got to figure that out. And it kind of does get kind of boring at times, and you got to run around a lot, go back and forth. So that kind of can drag on. But I mean, other than that, I mean, this is gonna be a spoiler, all right? So if you don't want to, I mean, this might be old news for a lot of people, but if you don't want to know what happens in the end, I personally didn't like the end because what had happened was Ryo never finds his killer. Instead, he goes into a boat and travels to where he thinks the killer is at. And when he goes on the boat and the boat sails away in the sunset, you just see credits rolling. And you know, you're like, wait, what the fuck? I just played this for what? Nothing? Like nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like he didn't find his killer. So I'm guessing the continuation is in part 2. But I haven't played part 2, so I don't know. But I even heard he doesn't even find his killer in part 2 either. And so, you know, that's where part 3 comes in. So, you know, we'll see how it is. I'll probably play part 2, maybe even do a review of that if I beat it. But yeah, you know, that kind of sucked with the ending. The story, in the end, it just fell short a little. So all in all, if I had to give this game a grade, I'd give it a 3.5 stars out of 5. I think that's a pretty fair grade. You know, I don't think the game should get anything more than that. And I don't think the game is terrible either. Like I said, they had a lot of elements within the game. You know, there's even at the end, there's like a beat 'em up part where you and a guy tag team and beat the crap out of a whole bunch of people. Like I said, there's fighting, there's racing. You know, there's tons of stuff in the game to do. And I'll be honest with you, to me, this game, I feel like this Shenmue is an acquired taste. I will personally say that this game is not for everybody. Either you love it or you hate it. But like I said, it's an acquired taste, and you know, I wouldn't hate on somebody that thinks this game is complete trash, and I wouldn't hate on somebody that thinks this game is perfect. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's a really different type of game. So all in all, I would recommend it if you're into the open world, if you want to see like a long story and like character development. That's a lot of things about this game is like character development, and you know, where a lot of games really, in my opinion, don't have too much of that, especially retro games. So all in all, give Shenmue 3.5 stars. Think the game is pretty good. So if you enjoyed that, let me know of any other games you want me to review. Like I guess you can see in the back, I got tons of games, retro games, even current games or whatever. You want me to review them? Let me know down below. I'll see which ones you guys pick. I'll pick the best one. I'll play through it. I'll see what I like. I'll see what I don't like. I'll review it. And then all you guys gotta do is watch the video and comment and like and share and subscribe. Alright guys, once again, I appreciate your support and watching. Peace out.